Hello! So, these are trying times. I understand. I'm with you there. It's actually starting to get to me as my little introvert self. I finished editing my book last night, for the second round anyway, and I'm realizing that I'm going to have a lot more free time on my hands. So I decided that I was going to do a little video for you guys, just a short one, talking about some of my favorite comfort reads, books I go to and reread over and over again that just bring me that little bit of joy. So without further ado, let's dive right into it. My first one, which should make a lot of sense if you know me or if you don't, is Alice in Wonderland. I love Alice in Wonderland so much. You don't understand. When I travel, it's my goal to buy a copy of Alice in Wonderland in every country that I stay in for over a week. So I have one from Japan and one from Prague right now. So I have one in Czech and one in Japanese. And this is my original American copy. It has 1,000 bookmarks in it because it is my bookmark book. It's just so that I don't lose them all. I know they're all in my copy of Alice in Wonderland. Look. Anyway, if you don't know about Alice in Wonderland, it's a nonsense literary novel that focuses on a little girl named Alice who falls down a rabbit hole and gets into a bunch of mischief with some anthropomorphic animal human companions and some butterflies, some flowers. It's adorable. I love it. I love all the movies, all of them. Don't come for me. I love them all. And yeah, my room was Alice in Wonderland themed for years, literal years, so many years. And I love it. It's just so good. And it's just the right amount of nonsense that we need these days. The next book I'm going to talk about is The Never-Ending Story. I have this copy from my grandmother. It's very, very old. I have no idea where you can even find this book anymore. I've read it a couple times, but there's also a really good movie from the 80s. I also have that on tape. Another kind of in the same vein of Alice in Wonderland, where it's kind of nonsense, but it follows this kid named Bastian. Oh my god. It's about a kid named Bastian, and he finds this book in a bookshop, and he takes it without permission, and it's basically him reading it in the attic of his school. And as he reads the book, it becomes more and more real to him, but it's a really dark story. It's super interesting. It's really sad, but it's so good, and it's just childhood whimsy and the way the children see the world in the best way, you know? It has dragons in it and a wolf that talks and Atreyu. I love Atreyu. I stan Atreyu. I highly recommend, if you can get your hands on the book, reading The Never-Ending Story and then watching the film again. Alright, my next book is another classic, and it is Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen. I love this book. I love the movie. The 2005 movie, come for me. It's the best version. Yes, love Pride and Prejudice to the ends of the earth. I cry every time I read it because Darcy is everything and Bingley is everything, and I just love them, and I love their little relationship, and I love Elizabeth and her relationships with her sisters. I hate Lydia. Don't come for me. But it's about a girl named Elizabeth. She's in Regency era England, and he meets this guy at a party, and he hates her immediately. She hates him for hating her, or hating her. They're both being petty. That's the whole title of the book, Pride and Prejudice. And so over the course of the book, it's romance, so obviously they fall in love, and it's really adorable. It's enemies to lovers. Yeah, it's just, it's everything. And I love the movie. I watch the movie at least once a month when I'm sad. So I'm probably going to be watching it a lot this month. So yeah, might as well reread the book, right? Okay, and then I have two contemporary books. So the first one is actually a book that my mom bought that I just hijacked a few times. By a few times, I mean about roughly 10 times. I've read this book so many times because it's so good. I recommend it to literally everybody all the time because it hurts my little soul, but it's so fluffy, and it makes you reflect on your own values and what you do in these women's situations. And that book is Barefoot by Ellen Hildebrand. Ellen Hildebrand writes roughly 10,000 books a year. That's just my rough guesstimation. I could be wrong, but she has so many books, and so many people. I work at a bookstore. So many women come up with like Ellen Hildebrand books, and I always recommend them Barefoot, and nobody has read this one. I kid you not one of them has read Barefoot. It's insane. It's literally, my mom has read like a ton of Ellen Hildebrand's books. I've only read this one because my mom says that this is her best book, and I'm pretty sure if I read any of her others, they wouldn't live up. So it's about 3 women, Vicky, Brenda, and Melanie. So Vicky is, she was diagnosed with cancer, and so she decides she's going to go to Nantucket, and she invites her sister Brenda, who was a professor, and she got caught and fired for having an affair with her student. And then the third member that tags along is Melanie. So she and her husband are kind of on the outs right now. I don't think her husband knows. If I remember, it's been a very long time since I read this book, but I really want to reread it, probably in isolation, just because it's about relationships and friendship and all of these things. But Melanie is there because she's pregnant, finally. She and her husband have been trying for a really long time, but she finds out her husband is cheating on her. So she decides she needs some time away, so she goes and tags along with Vicky and Brenda to go to Nantucket. And they're there to just unwind and, feel it out and get their lives back in order. Brenda's there. She wants to write a book. She wants to write a screenplay based off of her favorite book. And it's like, I kid you not, Ellen Hildebrand makes me think this book is real, and I want to read it so bad, but it doesn't exist. It's so annoying. And I'm like, I just need her to write that book. I need her to pull like a Rainbow Rowell and write that book that she talks about in this book so that I can read it. Yeah, but I highly recommend reading it. It's so good, and it's so sweet, and it just explores the relationship between women, and it just, it's so good. Please read it, and then talk to me about it in the comments, please. All right, the next book I have is another contemporary, the last contemporary, I think, and it's The Readers of Broken Will Recommend. I have seen very few people pick up this book in all the time I've worked at my bookstore. And that's such a shame because it's literally such a cute book. So it follows this woman who comes from the Netherlands, I think? Sweden. She comes from Sweden. And her name is Sarah, and she goes to this tiny, itty bitty little town in like mid-central America, and she's there to meet her pen pal. They have been for years sending books back and forth to each other and talking about them and just bonding over a love of books. And Sarah finally gets enough money and time, and she's like, I'm gonna go meet you. And she flies all the way down there and is picked up from the airport and taken to the town, only to find out that her pen pal has just recently died. Yeah, rough start. But she ends up showing up during the wake and discovering all of her pen pal's old books and books that she sent her. And she ends up being like, I might as well stay, I'm here, and, explore the town that she's told me so much about. And she ends up doing that, but then she ends up kind of falling in love with the idea of giving this town a bookstore. So she opens a bookstore, and it's about all of the quirky, like, people in the town, like, either embracing or being against the bookstore and this newcomer and all of those things. And at the same time, there's, like, a romance subplot that's really cute. And it's just the sweetest book. It's just so sweet. And throughout it has, so like on this page, it has different letters from each of the pen pals to each other, talking about different books. And those books show up in like the next chapters in the bookstore. It's super interesting. Second to last, we have one more to go after this one. But this one is, I don't even know how to explain this book. Truly, I really don't. It's about a woman who is just aimless. She lives in like California. She works at a tech company that produces like robotic arms that do things for like factories and stuff. And she falls in love with this new like itty bitty restaurant that has 2 things on the menu. And she orders it every night, and then one day the guy who comes and delivers her food, he tells her that they are going to leave the city. But here's the recipe for our sourdough bread, which is one of the two things on the menu. And he gives her a sourdough bread starter that has like been in his family. So if you know anything about bread, especially sourdoughs, you know that you have to have a starter and you care for it like a pet. And so basically he gives her a piece of theirs, and with a list of instructions. Kind of sci-fi, this book, but it's about bread. It's a very strange book, first of all, but it's so addicting because you want it all explained. You just want it all explained. Like, why does the bread starter do that? Why does it do that? And it involves like a secret, like, farmer's market. I don't know. It's so good. Please pick it up. I'm not explaining it well. It's so good though. I actually picked this up on recommendation from Reagan at Peruse Project, but oh my god, please pick it up. I know it sounds super strange, but you'll be addicted because you just want to know what's happening, and it makes a lot more sense when you read it, but also doesn't. I don't know. You know, it's, if you're looking for an interesting kind of sci-fi, pretty much contemporary book about a woman finding her passion, and you like baking, or you like this book brings me back to the feelings I have when I watch The Great British Baking Show, because it's so mellow and like easy to read. I don't know. I need to reread it. It's so good. Please read it. Please, so that I can have somebody to talk to about it, please. So this book was recommended to me by the podcast History Chicks. I don't remember what episode it was. I think it was their Eleanor of Aquitaine episode. I really love the story of Eleanor of Aquitaine. She's one of my favorites. I have a character in my book named after a character in her life. So if you can pick up on it, kudos to you, my friend. I actually almost renamed my main character Eleanor after Eleanor of Aquitaine. So I made that choice not to, though. Anyway, not the point. So anyway, this book I'm talking about is It Ended Badly. It is a compilation of different stories about people breaking up through history and the consequences of it. I know, super interesting. But the author is super snarky and like down to earth, and she literally just tells it like I would. Yeah, but anyway, she goes through, she does like Eleanor of Aquitaine, she does Nero and Poppaea, and it's so funny the way she goes into like history of it, but she's still so snarky. I just pulled it open to a random page, and this says, his subjects didn't take well to matricide. Shortly after the murder, a baby was left in the form with a tag bearing the note, I will not rear you up lest you slay your mother. A real live baby, just abandoned in public place to make a political point. It was a hell of a town. Like, I love this author. Please pick up this book if you're interested in anything about history. It's such an easy read. She makes it so fun to learn about these people, and it's a wild ride. She keeps you on your toes, they keep you on your toes, and it's a really good introduction to like women's history. Alright, so that's all for this video. I hope you pick up at least one of those books. If you do, tell me down in the comments. We can have a conversation about them, because nobody has read a couple of them that I know that I can talk to about it, so please let me know. If you have any other questions, comments, concerns, debates, fears, anxieties, bad stuff, issues, complaints, irritations, leave them down in the comments as well, and I will get back to you. I am on Instagram most often at St. Elizabeth, and please look at my website linked in my description and in my channel banner for updates about my book, The Heraldess. I will be looking for betas again in a few months, so please keep your eyes open for that, and I will see you guys next time.